Thank you very much, Dr. Mishra. It is an absolute honor to speak on the occasion of your book launch. There is so much that we have to learn from you and all that you have shared with us for your publications over the years. Um, Hello to all the panelists and all the attendees. I'll be brief because I understand people have commitments and we've overshot our time. The image and the visual of migrant workers marching towards their homes on highways and in cities during the lockdown is not something that will leave the conscience of all of us, and as it shouldn't. So the question often arises where they are today. Where are the migrants who left the cities in a state of panic, in a state of fear? There are over 39 crore migrant and unorganized workers in India, and a large section of them returned to their home without employment, without social security, without any protection as lockdown was started. These are the most vulnerable groups in our country right now, and the crisis for them is far from over. When they return, they will be met with no food, no employment. Their children are out of school. There are no midday meals. This would entail that many families of migrant workers would have to take loans, will have to take advances at predatory rates of interest. And that will then begin the circle of intergenerational bonded labor, which will include children and adults alike. We are right now at a stage where a massive increase of bonded labor is expected due to the pandemic. With some labor laws weakened, and with businesses that are overworked and running in losses, the sufferers would be children and migrant and unorganized workers who will have to respond and work for them without minimum wage or any protection. Now, as lockdown is lifted, we realize that businesses that have suffered, the economy that has suffered, will try to pass on their losses to those who are most vulnerable, to those who are at the lowest level of labor, of employment, and their working conditions, their protection, their labor laws, the implementation of them would be weakened over time. And this will also increase a massive increase in bonded labor. Thirdly, when we see that schools have still not opened, children will be trafficked. Our sister organization, Bachchan Bachao Andolan, as Sampurna ji clarified, has been conducting rescue operations, has rescued over 1,000 children just during the period of lockdown. And bonded labor and trafficking has not stopped, even in a state of pandemic. So the increase in bonded labor that we are about to witness and are possibly already witnessing is something that we need to act now and arrest. For these, I'm offering a few solutions, and I'm sure that the larger group here would have many more. The first is the existing bonded laborers who have been identified and whose release certificates have been issued. They should receive their compensation immediately. If within the period of the next 1 month, every identified bonded laborer who has been waiting for years for their release certificate, for summary trial, for their compensation and for justice, they are the most vulnerable group. If we are able to compensate them and the families, their children, we will be able to stop this increase of bonded labor due to the pandemic. But what requires to be done to be able to give this compensation is the budget. The government of India does not have the kind of money that is needed to meet the scale of bonded labor that exists in this country. To give you a sense of what that means, from the period of the Central Sector Scheme for Rehabilitation of Bonded Laborers 2016 till December 2019, a sister organization, BBA, rescued 1,550 child bonded laborers, 2,823 victims of trafficking. Now, if we were to put this number together and calculate the compensation that is due to them according to the Central Sector Scheme, we need 100.2 crore. Now, this is only rescues by Bachchan Bachao Andolan during the pandemic. The amount that is available in the budget for the Central Sector Scheme is 100 crore. If the government and the DMs and the district administration were to get together and start conducting rescues and giving release certificates and compensation, do we have the bandwidth to do justice to the people who we are rescuing. The two have to go hand in hand. जब हमारे जो जिन लोगों को हम रेस्क्यू कर रहे हैं देश भर में, हमारे ऑर्गेनाइजेशंस हैं, हमारे पार्टनर्स हैं जिनको हम रेस्क्यू कर रहे हैं, अगर उनको हम कॉम्पनसेशन देते हैं, उसके लिए हमारे पास पैसा प्रावधान होना बहुत जरूरी है, वरना कॉम्पनसेशन और ऐसी स्कीम्स का कोई फायदा नहीं है। थर्डली, जब लेंडिंग होती है गांव में, जब लोन्स लिए जाते हैं, यूजुअली जो लोकल लेंडर्स हैं उनके पास कंप्लीट पावर होती है, एंड बॉन्डेड लेबरर्स डू नॉट हैव द एबिलिटी टू नेगोशिएट the rate of interest. There is no regulation, there is no licensing, there is no ceiling on the rate of interest of in a lending atmosphere which has no regulation and licensing. So that means that anyone who is already in a vulnerable position and lacking employment and social security will be exploited by this system of money lending, and our national banks do not give easy loans at low interests. Fourthly, social protection schemes which are available with the government but don't reach them. जिनके लिए ये schemes बनी हैं, अगर उन तक नहीं पहुंचेंगी तो उन schemes का कोई फायदा नहीं है. These are the safety nets. सारे migrant and unorganized workers गवर्नमेंट को फोकस करना है कि वो रजिस्टर हुए. All migrant and unorganized workers have to be registered immediately so that they can get access to the social protection schemes that exist in the country. This also means that at the village level, the community comes together and prevents the bonded labor and trafficking of these vulnerable families. We need migration registers in villages. We need migration registers to be maintained by panchayats to be able to monitor the movement and exploitation of families and to be able to report to the district administration to take action. The coordination that needs to happen does not end with the district magistrate. It needs to trickle down into village panchayats and village the vigilance committees, the schools, the VCPCs. It has to be a closed network of action, and it can't end with law enforcement. Lastly, businesses have to be held accountable. Those who are employing, those who have several layers of employment in supply chains, जिन घरों में employment हो रही है, गांव के informal environment में, जब फैक्ट्रीज में नहीं लेकिन घरों में प्रोडक्शन हो रही है, तो वहां पे एक्सप्लॉयटेशन हो रही है, खेतों में एग्रीकल्चर में एक्सप्लॉयटेशन हो रही है. एंड अगर वो अपनी सप्लाई चेन्स में ड्यू डिलिजेंस और ट्रांसपेरेंसी नहीं रखते, there is no way that we are able to end bonded labor. It is a coordinated effort of businesses, of governments, of villages, of civil society, and of law enforcement to be able to end bonded labor. I will end on the note that the Constitution of India in Article 23 has stated that traffic in human beings and begar and other similar forms of forced labor are a punishable offense as per the Constitution of India, and any violation has to be dealt with the right law. Other than untouchability, छुआछूत के अलावा ये बेगार और trafficking in persons are the only offenses that are made punishable in the Constitution itself. संविधान ने इसकी seriousness, इसकी गंभीरता को recognize किया है, and that means that if we have to be able to claim that we are upholding the Constitution of India, अगर हम संविधान का respect कर रहे हैं, तो कोई भी बच्चा बंधुआ मजदूर नहीं बन सकता. Thank you very much.